Hello friends, today I'm going to talk about an interesting topic, that is stress and physiotherapy. My name is Dr. Khatri, and you can communicate with me on this email ID, physiokhatri@gmail.com. Okay, here is that. Here we go. I always believe that the entire nervous system we can remember in three parts, that is CAP. C stands for central, A stands for autonomic, and P stands for peripheral nervous system. As a physiotherapist, we work in central nervous system quite often. We work in peripheral nervous system, but unfortunately we give less attention to autonomic nervous system. And this autonomic nervous system is related with our stress. So in order to work in this area, just remember two V's. One V is for vagus nerve. The moment we talk about this autonomic nervous system, it's an entire game of one cranial nerve, that is vagus. And the golden standard to assess the vagus nerve function is Valsalva manual. Now, in the beginning, I'd like to ask you a question. Would you like to be 100% stress free? Obviously, everyone will say yes. But look at this. Stress is an integral part of life. Only the dead body is 100% stress free. So obviously, when I asked the previous question, would you like to be 100% stress free? Your answer should be no. So the question, what is stress? Very simple. Stress is like a pressure. Now let's look at from where this stress or otherwise mental pressure comes. This comes because of your past experiences. Maybe some negative thoughts or any situation that you don't want to forget. It can come because of your future. You're worried about your future. Your earning, your saving, your job, your retirement, and so on and so forth. It can come because of external factors such as government policies, day to day hurdles. It can come because of internal problems such as health issues. In pressure cooker, there's a valve to release the pressure. But unfortunately, as a human being, we can accumulate so-called pressure in form of stress, but we don't have a natural valve to release the pressure. If you look at the statistics, 1 out of 5 person is suffering from stress related problems. So now let's look at this picture. If stress is low, it's not good for you. If stress is too high, it's not good for you. So optimum stress is required. This is what we call it as a flow. This is funny thing or humor for you. There are only two times I feel stress, in the daytime and in the night time. So in short, it is like physical, mental and emotional response to a situation, that we can call it as a stress. Now we know that every single time mosquito bite we hit, so hitting the part where the mosquito has bitten is like a specific response, and Stress is not a specific response. Stress is like a non-specific response. That means for the same situation, people can react in a different way. So, in other words, now first we said stress is pressure. Now we said stress is physical, mental, or emotional reaction. Now we are saying stress is non-specific response to a situation. Now, question: what are the sources of the stress? Now you can just ask yourself a question and jot down from where the stress comes. What are the causes of stress in your life? Now, this I can skip it right now. Now, sources of the stress can be uh, your health problem, your financial problem, it can be related with your career, it can be related with your family, it can be social, it can be spiritual, it can be intellectual. Now, most of the time, what happens is we want to excel in one area, but we forget the simple thing, that is the principle of harmony. We cannot just grow in head, or we cannot just grow in trunk, or we cannot just have only nose growing, or there is only one hand growing and the length increasing only in one hand or one leg. So what basically we want is harmony. In the same fashion, in life also, you have to have harmony of everything, let it be physical, mental, social, economical, and so on and so forth. So once you maintain the harmony, the stress is likely to be manageable. So we had seen the sources of the stress. Most of the time, the cause of the stress is negative thoughts. Now let's look at this. This shows imbalance. Whenever there is an imbalance between this, I call it as effort and reward. This can lead to stress. If it is the other way, that means reward is more than the effort, then this will create you laziness, otherwise bored. We can see the same thing in another words. It's like I call it as a demand and supply. If demand is more and supply is less, it leads to stress. But if it is the other way, then once again it leads to boredom, frustration. So now let's look at how we get the stress. You get the stress provided situation is novel, it's new. Situation is unpredictable. You don't have control over the situation, and it's going to be the threat to your ego. So let's look at the diagrammatical things. Every single time when the situation is new, you don't have a control over situation. Situation is unpredictable, and the most important thing is it's going to threaten your ego. Then this creates the stress. We call it as a flight and fight response. In the Stone Age, we remember that so-called our ancestors, otherwise stone man, had only two options. One was to run to the cave, and second one was to fight. So today also we call stress as a situation that creates flight or fight response. Now this could happen because of the reasons like misunderstanding. And whenever there's a misunderstanding, that creates doubt, jealousy, hatred, anger, leg pulling. Basically, problems related with the thinking. Now recognize, you got to know how you come to know that you are stressed. Otherwise, what is the sign, what is the signal that tells you that you are stressed? Say in my case, if I'm stressed, my voice changes. Now, these are three things that happens when you are stressed. one of the best trick is I say that make a reverse T and come here like this. So this is like thymus gland atrophy, adrenal gland enlargement, and you get gastric problems such as gastric ulcer and related to digestive system. Now best way is one should measure the stress, and the simple trick is you just ask yourself how much your stress on a scale of 0 to 100. If I say 0 is no stress and 100 is too bad, just find out how much your stress. Scientific ways or clinical ways of measuring the stress are measuring through salivary cortisol. It's just like you get the strips, like glucometer, you can use the strip and measure the salivary cortisol. You can measure hair cortisol. You can look for heart rate variation. You can look for plasma cortisol. You can look for ACTH amount in saliva. You can go for adrenaline level. You can use GSR biofeedback or those galvanic skin response. Clinical ways usually we use is look for heart rate, blood pressure, uh, pressure pain threshold. Even you can check the temperature. You can use different questionnaires, and routinely you can use even the stress diaries. Now, how to evaluate the stress? Sight, that is inspection. Palpation, palpate the part of the body. You can perform a passive movement. Simple tests can be raise and allow the hand to fall. Uh, Another way can be shaking the body part, otherwise have the hand shake. You can even use EMG to find out the stress. So the question comes here is who's responsible for your stress? And the answer is you yourself, the way you think. So now question is what are the remedies? Well, we got different remedies to tackle the stress, but that I'm going to discuss in the next part. Right now, let's see underline. Simple theory is situation, one's control over here, and the support. Support can be family, friends. Another way is look at another approach we call car approach. Either accept the situation, reject the situation, others change the situation. Next approach is alter, adapt, and accept. Now here this shows entire management for the stress. That can be nourishment, that's your diet, can be exercise and relaxation. As a physiotherapist, I'm more bothered about exercise and the relaxation techniques. Now this is one of the favorite stuff that I use it when I speak. Usually, Alcohol Anonymous people, they teach a prayer. The prayer is very simple. God, give me an insight to know the things that I can change. The next line in this prayer says, God, give me an insight to know the things that I cannot change. And the last, God, give me an insight to know the things to differentiate between the things that I can change and things I cannot change. So understand very well that you can't change everything. So somewhere you have to learn to differentiate what you can change and what you cannot change. So question is stress bad? No. Stress can be bad also, stress can be good also. When the stress is good, we call eustress. For instance, you get a lottery, you become a father, you get married. It's like a good stress. Distress, say you get financial loss, you get serious health problem. One of the best way to tackle the stress is time management. Because of the lack of time itself, I'll not go into the depth of this, but you know that we can have this four quadrant. Quadrant 1 is important and urgent. Quadrant 2 is important but not urgent. Quadrant 3 is not important, not urgent. And quadrant 4 is not important, not urgent. So ideally we should work here to minimize the stress. That means things are important but not urgent. If you work here, this is going to create a lot of stress. So don't work here. Try to work here. Example is preparation, prevention, developing mission, planning, relationship building, true creation, empowerment, and so on and so forth. Probably you can read much better about this concept in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. So 90-10 principle. Most of the time the situation is like 10% and 90% is how we react. Now this is how we look at. If you think you're stressed, you're stressed. But you think in an opposite way. Now look at. If you just change the order of this becomes desert. So it is up to us how we think, whether you're stressed or you're having desert. Now, if you look at our entire time and if you think that we have 24 hours and we divide into three parts, say 8 hours is your sleep, 8 hours goes in your work, and remaining 8 hours is for you. What I'm trying to say is, out of this 8 hours also, just spend 1 hour for yourself. You can do some physical activity, you can have some meditation, or anything that helps you to minimize your stress. This I can skip. I'll show this videos uh, in the next part somewhere. This is a simple picture about advice to minimize the stress. Now, this can be your activity planning. This is an interesting picture that I came across when I was attending a lecture through Coursera. They say tug of war with Frankenstein. Most of the time, imagine that this is the stress and this is you. Okay, we feel that if I pull very hard, I'm going to win. If you pull very hard, this is going to come nearer to you. If you just leave it loose, this is going to pull it towards you. So one of the best way to manage the stress is just leave this rope down. So this is the principle usually they call commitment therapy, and they teach you the concept called tug of war with Frankenstein. So here is a little look at what we are going to talk in the next part about remedies for stress. One is relaxation, escape from the situation, physical activity or the self-care, time management, stop negative thinking, uh, look for the additional support, improve your interpersonal relations. I think we should stop here. Okay, thank you.